You're listening to Kempire here on the Kempire Radio Network.
So apparently, you get a lawsuit, you get a lawsuit, and you get a lawsuit. Chris Brown is suing Warner Brothers for $500 million. Diddy is suing victims, and Jeannie Mai is calling the police on Jeezy. So this is going to be a quick roundup of some of the biggest hot topics happening today. So we'll first start with Jeannie Mai and Jeezy. We haven't talked about them in quite a while. And apparently the fight over their divorce and custody continues. This is an update from our friends over at In Touch Weekly, and they say that Jeannie Mai showed up to ex-husband Jeezy's home to collect boxes of personal items from the home they once shared, but had to call the police after she was refused entry. According to court documents obtained by In Touch, Jeannie, who's 46, said that the drama with Jeezy, who's 47, started back in November of last year. The exes initially settled their divorce in June of 2024. A couple of months later, Jeannie said that she had items that she needed to pick up from Jeezy's home in Georgia. Jeezy, whose real name is Jay Jenkins, said that he placed Jeannie's property, which included her Emmy and other trophies, photos, handbags, shoes, and other items in boxes. The judge ruled that Jeannie could pick up the items within 21 days from Jeezy's home. However, Jeezy asked the court to modify the court due to him feeling not safe with Jeannie roaming around his home. Jeezy's lawyer said the musician was, quote, fine with Jeannie coming to his residence to retrieve her personal property. The rapper said that he had legitimate concerns about Jeannie being able to walk through the whole house. Jeezy does not feel safe having Jeannie in his home, given Jeannie's history of attempting to destroy Jeezy's career with misleading information. Jeezy would have no way of knowing if Jeannie is planting listening devices or cameras in his home, his lawyer said.
I'm sorry, what?
Jeannie is angry about the party's divorce and she is revengeful. In addition, the mere presence of Jeannie inside Jeezy's home and personal space after the highly contested nature of the divorce case would absolutely destroy Jeezy's peace and tranquility, as well as invade his privacy. It's so crazy to me because you remember when we initially reported on the story, it came days before she was promoting his book, talking about their loving relationship and their child. And then we found out all this mess that was going on behind the scenes, that a divorce was already looming when she posted that post on Instagram. Jeannie fired back at Jeezy's claims he doesn't feel safe in his home. She said her lawyers notified Jeezy she would be coming to his home on December 9th of 2024. She claimed Jeezy said that he had no objections to her coming to pick up her items that were packed in his garage. Jeannie said her lawyers asked for confirmation that Jeezy was going to allow Jeannie inside the home. Jeannie's lawyers said that their client had no intention of invading Jeezy's privacy or placing any recording devices in the home, and that she simply wanted to make sure she didn't leave anything behind. Jeannie said that she arrived on December 9th, 2024, with her movers at Jeezy's home. She said that Jeezy's house manager, on the orders of Jeezy, refused to allow her and her security team to access the garage where her items were stored. My thing is, wouldn't this just have been an easy situation if Jeezy, you have a house manager or hired a team to watch her as she is moving these items? Wouldn't that just resolve this issue? It feels like they're fighting over the most pettiest things, and it's so crazy when a divorce, because this is what they always say, the person that you married is not the person that you divorced. They said the house manager continued to refuse to let Jeannie and her movers access the garage. And in fact, the house manager called Jeezy, who again confirmed that Jeannie and her movers were not to access her items regarding the court order entirely. At this time, Jeannie called the Atlanta Police Department, who came to the property to gather a report on Jeannie's denial of access. Jeannie, as always, was the consummate professional, Jeannie's lawyer wrote. The police were not called to make a scene, but instead to report that the court order was being violated. When the police officer informed the house manager that a court order was in fact being violated, the house manager then had to shift gears and create a new barrier to entry. Next, the house manager, at the direction of Jeezy, refused to allow anyone on behalf of Jeannie to enter the home unless they signed a non-disclosure agreement. To note, there is nothing in the court order that states any language regarding a non-disclosure agreement, Jeannie's attorney wrote. Jeannie said that she was allowed in the garage. She saw her boxes had been damaged. She said that Jeezy's lawyers previously praised the rapper in court for the condition in which he maintained her belongings. Jeannie said her items, which carried, quote, immeasurable personal value, were left in disarray. The boxes were wet, with water having soaked through the boxes, damaging personal items. There were mouse traps set in the garage, presumably set for mice, which had eaten through some of the boxes. Ew. Jeannie's lawyer wrote, many of the Jeannie's awards were broken and scratched. The lawyer continued. You guys are so petty. I think petty on both sides. Here I go twerking on a fence. Jeannie said that Jeezy had caused her to incur significant legal bills due to his refusal to abide by any court order. Jeannie denied that she was, quote, angry and revengeful following the split. Her lawyer wrote, the only party that seems to be angry and revengeful is Jeezy. A judge has yet to rule on the back and forth. As In Touch previously reported, back in September of last year, Jeannie filed a petition accusing Jeezy of contempt. Jeannie accused Jeezy of failing to comply with certain terms of their divorce settlement. Specifically, she claimed he owed her money for daycare and rent expenses. Jeezy denied the accusations. He said that it was, quote, disheartening that his ex would make such blatant misrepresentations in court. Jeezy claimed that she had failed to provide proper receipts for expenses. This situation continues to get messy, but speaking of messy, let's talk about some of these court cases. Chris Brown, who's coming off the success of Breezy Bowl in South Africa, selling out 2 stadium shows in South Africa, is now suing Warner Brothers for the docuseries that claimed a lot of damaging things about the singer. So according to People magazine, they said Chris Brown is suing Warner Brothers for $500 million, alleging he was labeled a serial R and abuser in Investigation Discovery's docuseries Chris Brown, A History of Violence. Brown, through his attorneys, filed the lawsuit in California Superior Court for Los Angeles County on Tuesday, January 21st. In the court documents obtained by People, the sensational singer, 35, called out the October 2024 docuseries, which showed multiple women coming forward and detailing their alleged experiences with Brown. Brown is suing Warner Brothers, Ample, and the documentary producers for alleged defamation, libel, and infliction of emotional distress through the claims made in the documentary. One accuser, identified as Jane Doe, alleges that Brown R'd her in 2020. The R&B singer's attorneys denied the claims in the documentary. The case is about the media putting their own profits over the truth. Tuesday's lawsuit claims, adding that the network aired the documentary, quote, knowing that it was full of lies and deception and violating journalistic principles. The filing alleges that the woman identified as Doe had previously been, quote, discredited as an alleged perpetrator of intimate partner violence and aggressor herself. The lawsuit states that Brown has not ever been convicted of any sex. However, the project paints him as a serial R and a sexual abuser. Brown's attorney says that he has worked hard at, quote, redeeming his reputation over the past decade. In 2009, as you know, he was charged with 2 felonies of assault and making criminal threats in the beating of his then girlfriend, Rihanna, the month before. He pleaded guilty on June 22nd of 2009 and accepted a plea deal of community labor, 5 years probation, and DV counseling. Mr. Brown has grown from those experiences, and his evolution speaks for itself. The lawsuit continues. This new production ignores that growth, choosing instead to repackage stale accusations while amplifying them with demonstrable falsehoods. The filing then addresses Doe, who, according to the complaint, originally sued Brown in January of 2022, alleging that he had SA'd her on Sean Combs, see how it's all related? Sean Combs' yacht in Miami. She also sued on allegations battery, intentional and negligent infliction, and emotional distress. The case was dismissed in August of 2022 after a Miami Beach police officer discovered text messages sent by Doe that, quote, expose her dishonesty, Brown's filing claims. Brown's lawsuit included alleged screenshots of a restraining order Doe's boyfriend allegedly filed against her in 2021, claiming that she physically assaulted him, threatened him with a knife, and harassed him online. After being put on notice that their documentary contained false claims and violated journalistic professional standards, defendants persisted in releasing this documentary, the complaint claimed. I have to say, there was a lot of hype about this documentary coming out, but once it came out, I heard no one really talk about it. The filing further alleges that the documentary has damaged Brown's career and business opportunities. This case is about protecting the truth, Brown's attorney said in a statement shared with People. Despite being provided with evidence disproving their claims, the producers of this documentary intentionally promoted false and defamatory information, knowingly disregarding their ethical obligations as journalists. Brown is suing for alleged defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and using his name and likeness for promotional purposes. He is asking for $500,000 in damages and a jury trial. This says $500,000 in People's article, but apparently it's $500 million. We stand behind the production and will vigorously defend ourselves against this lawsuit, an investigation discovery spokesperson told People magazine on Wednesday, January 22nd. Because this is closely associated with Diddy, the other news that we have to talk about is Diddy is now suing. So according to our friends over at Us Magazine, Diddy, who remains in the Brooklyn Metropolitan Detention Center while he awaits trial. Us Weekly writes this. It says Sean Diddy Combs has filed a defamation lawsuit against one of his accusers, their attorney, and News Nation. So if you've been following our channel and our Diddy stories, then you know we've reported on the said attorney and the accuser and News Nation. According to court documents obtained by Us Weekly, Diddy filed the lawsuit in New York against Courtney Burgess. You remember him? Okay. And his attorney, Ariel Mitchell, the shakedown attorney that we referred to, on Wednesday, January 22nd. Burgess previously testified before a federal grand jury against Diddy, claiming to have evidence of alleged freak-off parties. He claimed that he had video footage. He also claimed to have the real Kim Porter memoir. The filing also named Nexstar Media Incorporated, which operates News Nation. Both Burgess and Mitchell appeared on the network's program Banfield in November of 2024 to discuss the allegations made against Diddy. The music mogul has been behind bars, as you know, since September of 2024 after being indicted on charges of trafficking and racketeering. The paperwork claimed that Burgess and Mitchell fabricated, quote, outrageous lies against Diddy so that they could, quote, gain social media fame, enrich themselves, and strip Mr. Combs of his reputation, livelihood, and right to a fair trial. While appearing on News Nation, Burgess claimed to possess, quote, 11 flash drives that allegedly featured videos of 8 celebrities, 6 men, and 2 women. Burgess alleged that, quote, 2 to 3 of the individuals were minors. In the January filing, Diddy accused Burgess of lying and claimed that no such tape exists. Look, I'm not a Diddy fan. I believe Diddy did a lot of dirty stuff, but if you recall, when we covered this interview and the shakedown attorney, we told you he didn't seem believable. But I always felt like he was a middleman for someone else. He was willing to go on camera and be that middleman because maybe someone had given him money under the table, allegedly. So Diddy, who's currently in prison as he awaits trial scheduled for May 5th, is seeking no less than $50 million in damages, including punitive damages for the harm the, quote, false and defamatory statements have caused. In the paperwork, Diddy claimed that the malicious lie conducted by Burgess, Mitchell, and News Nation has caused him to suffer from significant reputational and economic harm. Here's the thing. Diddy is really suing News Nation. He knows that Courtney Burgess and the shakedown attorney don't have $50 million. This kind of goes back to what we saw when Jaguar Wright went on Piers Morgan's show, which was backed by Rupert Murdoch's company. He knows that there's money there. Diddy, at this particular point, he's bleeding money. All the different civil lawsuits, defending himself in his federal criminal trial. So if he could get $50 million from News Nation, that will probably supplement everything else that he's currently losing. They say that in addition to the negativity on social media, Diddy claimed that the, quote, intentionally false and defamatory statements have also poisoned the minds of potential jury pool for Diddy's upcoming trial this year. Sean Diddy Combs is taking a stand against the malicious falsehoods that have been fabricated and amplified by individuals seeking to profit at his expense, Diddy's attorney, Erica Wolf, said in a statement. These defendants have willfully fabricated and disseminated outrageous lies with reckless disregard for the truth. Their falsehoods have poisoned public perception and contaminated the jury pool. This complaint should serve as a warning that such intentional falsehoods, which undermine Mr. Combs' right to a fair trial, will no longer be tolerated. So I feel like this is a warning shot to some of the other people that have been doing different interviews with different YouTube platforms and former bad boy employees that have been doing things like that have been speaking out, that maybe there will be some more lawsuits coming from Sean Diddy Combs. Diddy's legal trouble, as you know, started last year when he was indicted by a grand jury in September of 2024. He was subsequently arrested on charges of trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, etc., etc. A 14-page indictment claimed that Diddy, quote, abused, threatened, and coerced women and others around him for decades at his infamous parties, which were nicknamed freak-offs. Diddy has repeatedly denied the allegations and pled not guilty to the charges. He remains incarcerated at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center after being denied bail on 4 separate appeals. I'm not surprised by this, but I also would not be surprised that more lawsuits from Diddy will be coming. I think the reason why he went after these individuals is not because, again, the shakedown attorney or Courtney Burgess has the money. It's bigger platforms that might have the money is what he wants to address and possibly get a quick payday. A lot of times when people sue, they're not suing to take this to trial. They're suing because they want to settle quickly and get money quickly. Very much what prompted Diddy's drama that he with Cassie. They settled that very quickly. We're going to continue to follow all of these stories, guys, but I want to hear you all weigh in on the Jeezy versus Jeannie, the Chris Brown lawsuit, and the new Diddy lawsuit. Let's continue this conversation in the comment section. As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. And if you're in Washington, D.C., get your tickets tomorrow. The Kempire After Dark Live experience will be hitting D.C., talking all kinds of things from hot topics like Diddy to talking about the Real Housewives of Potomac. And you just never know what happens at the Kempire After Dark Live experience. Get your tickets today. And then New York City, you're up after that on Friday, February 21st. Tickets for that show are now available. And there's also a live stream option exclusively for that New York City show. More information, again, will be available in the description. Thank you all for being here. And also, thank you for watching.
Thanks for tuning in to the Kempire here on the Kempire Radio Network. As always, don't forget to give the Kempire podcast a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. We're trying to get you 1,000 reviews on both platforms. And as always, don't forget to subscribe, download, and share the Kempire podcast.